Chandrayaan-3 was not just a mission, it was a moment carved into the timeline of human history. A symbol of ascent. A silent whisper in the vacuum of space, telling the cosmos that Earth had found another voice. India's voice. It landed where no one had dared, on the moon's southern pole, a place wrapped in eternal shadow and ancient silence. Not avoided out of chance, but perhaps out of something deeper. Something unknown. At first, all went exactly as planned. The Vikram lander touched down with precision, its descent like a falling prayer. Moments later, the Pragyan rover emerged, cautious and curious. Its wheels rolled across the lunar dust like ink over forgotten parchment. For a moment, humanity exhaled. We had made it. But then, the data changed everything. The first scans revealed something no one expected. A material not listed in any earthly catalogue. It bent light unnaturally, absorbed energy unpredictably. It didn't behave like anything known, it almost seemed to think. A physicist described it as alive, but not biological. The spectrometers tried to read it, but the readings contradicted themselves. One moment, it was metallic. The next, it was something else entirely. It wasn't just strange, it was impossible. And then the ground-penetrating radar lit up. Below the surface, beneath the quiet dust, something massive was buried. Not a cave. Not a lava tube. But a chamber. Perfect angles. Flawless geometry. Straight lines extending far beyond the rover's range. A structure. Artificial. Silent. And very old. The deeper the radar scanned, the more intricate the patterns became. It resembled a blueprint. But for what? A power grid. A vault. A forgotten technology. Then came the thermal anomalies. Pockets of heat, rising, fading, rising again. Something was active beneath the moon's frozen skin. And then? The rover began to misbehave. Its movements jittered. Its signals distorted. The feed flickered. And went dark. Not a crash. Not a failure. Just silence. The same kind of silence you feel when you realize you're being watched. ISRO claimed it was environmental damage. But behind closed doors, researchers weren't convinced. Some suggested electromagnetic interference. Others whispered of something far stranger. Soon, global interest spiked. Military satellites shifted to observe the site. Emergency meetings were held. Access to Chandrayaan-3's full data was quietly requested by world powers. Some feared a new weapon. Others feared something else, something ancient. Then came a new voice. A coalition of astrophysicists and Sanskrit scholars joined the discussion. They noticed patterns in the structure below the moon's surface. Patterns that mirrored ancient star charts. Sacred diagrams from Vedic texts. Mandalas etched in stone, now reflected in the dust of another world. Was this a coincidence? Or had ancient civilizations seen, or known, something we lost? One scholar claimed, this geometry was meant to be seen from the stars. Another called it a gate. Not a gate of stone. But a gate of understanding. Of memory. Of something that sleeps beneath the moon. Now, Chandrayaan-3 is silent. But its silence is not empty. It is full of questions. Full of warnings. What did we wake up? What did we touch beneath the dust? Was the moon always lifeless? Or just waiting? Did we knock on a door that was never meant to be opened? Or worse, was it waiting for someone to arrive? Not to explore, but to activate. Some believe this was the greatest achievement of human exploration. Others believe it was the first step into a deeper unknown. One thing is clear. We were not the first to stand on that dust. And we will not be the last. After the silence of Chandrayaan-3, a new signal echoed. Not from the moon, but from far beyond it. A whisper across the stars, subtle, rhythmic, intentional. It didn't match any known pulsar, satellite, or cosmic background echo. It was something else. Something repeating. Hidden deep in the low-frequency spectrum, like a coded breath. At first, astronomers thought it was interference. But when 5 separate observatories picked it up, the truth became harder to ignore. It came from the edge of the solar system, somewhere near the Oort cloud. A signal wrapped in gravitational noise. Encrypted by time. And locked behind cosmic dust. But there was something even stranger. Its pattern matched the same geometric pulse detected beneath the moon. The same blueprint. As if the two locations were speaking. Linked across unimaginable distance. Whispers between the moon and the void. Some suggested it was an echo from an ancient interstellar probe. Others suspected it was a warning. And then came the coordinates. Hidden in the frequency shift. A star system barely visible, obscured behind gas and dust. Unreachable. But not for long. Within weeks, a quiet alliance of nations began planning a new mission. Not to Mars. Not to the moon. But to a place no human had ever dared target, the dark beyond Neptune. They called it Project Trident. A mission cloaked in secrecy. A probe faster than any ever built. Equipped not with weapons, but questions. Questions shaped like instruments. Designed to interpret language, not just light. The goal was simple. To follow the signal. To ask, without words, who are you? And more importantly, do you remember us? Because in ancient Vedic texts, there are stories not just of gods, but of visitors. Of flying machines. Of knowledge that arrived from the stars and then vanished. Now, those stories didn't feel like myths. They felt like coordinates. The mission launched in silence. No televised countdown. No roaring crowds. Only stillness. And a direction, outward. Toward a shadowed system the ancient sky maps called Shunyatara, the zero star. Where nothing was supposed to exist. But something did. Something waiting. The probe passed Jupiter. Then Saturn. Then the heliopause. As it crossed the edge of the sun's breath, it entered the interstellar dark. That's when the signal changed. It grew stronger. More rhythmic. Almost aware. The pulse matched human brainwave patterns. delta waves, dreaming frequencies. As if something out there knew we were coming, not to invade, not to colonize, but to remember, to reconnect. And then, data stopped transmitting. No crash. No error. Just one final image. A black sky. A glowing arc. And symbols etched into light itself. Symbols that matched no earthly language. Except one. Sanskrit. Not written, but shaped in frequency, as if the cosmos was speaking in the language of ancient memory. A language not of Earth, but of something older than Earth itself. Now the world waits, not for a response, but for an awakening. Because somewhere in the dark, something just opened its eyes. And it remembers us. Not as explorers, but as descendants.